It's 7:09 now, and outrage is growing about the prisoner swap for POW Bo Bergdahl. And Congress is taking up a bill aimed at changing the crisis with veterans health care. Our Congressman and Iraq War veteran Dr. Brad Wenstrup is our guest here this morning. Good to see you, Congressman.
You too,
Thanks for coming in.
You.
So first, let's talk about this prisoner swap.
Sure.
Senator John McCain has said that he thinks it puts American lives in danger. What do you think?
Well, I think it does too. I think that it makes us more vulnerable for people to want to take prisoners if they have the impression that we will negotiate. And that's really the situation we're faced with now. Certainly we have the obligation, and we always have, of trying to get our troops home, leave no one behind. Circumstances around that are suspect at this point from accusations we're hearing.
The president says the most important thing is that an American soldier is home.
I think it's important that we relay that to all of our troops, that you will not be left behind. You know, we saw that with Matt Maupin. Even though it took years, we got him home one way or the other.
Is Bo Bergdahl a traitor? You have his fellow soldiers now coming out and saying he basically deserted. Yeah,
well, obviously that's what some are saying, but at the same time I find it curious that after 5 years we didn't hear this before. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
How concerned are you by the fact that Congress was not informed, which is required by law?
Well, I think that's very relevant to the situation. You know, the people from the Intelligence Committee knew about the Osama bin Laden raid for months before it actually happened. This was a no-brainer for be able to reach out to the leadership in both houses, both parties, and let us know that this was taking place.
All right. Let's talk about the VA healthcare crisis. You're a doctor, you're a veteran. Does the new bill that we're seeing details come out about this week, does that address the whole problem?
Not entirely. As a temporary fix, I think it might. But you know, the VA has had the opportunity to send people outside of the VA in the past, but they had to okay it, and that really wasn't taking place. And we had these lists.
Why wasn't it taking place?
Well, that is a very good question. You know, a private hospital would never have a waiting list. They are going to find ways to get you care. So this gives us some idea of what this type of system looks like. We've got a lot of change, and just replacing Eric Shinseki is not the answer.
Well, so we heard just here in Cincinnati, our medical center here, our VA medical center, they said that vets wait about a month. I mean, is that something that is normal in a private doctor's office or a private medical center?
Typically not for very long, because in a private practice, you're going to find ways to get people into your office and get them taken care of, whether it's adding another doctor, adding another assistant in your office to improve efficiency. This is something I've been working on since I got to Congress about improving efficiency, because private hospitals, private practices see far more patients in a day than the VA does.
Congress, of course, not known for moving quickly. How quickly can veterans expect to see some changes?
Well, I think this change will take place pretty quickly, and I can tell you that the VA committee in the House of Representatives is very bipartisan in wanting to make some changes very fast.
Is it even possible for the government to handle such a large system? I mean, a lot of people are skeptical with, you know, the government handling the Affordable Care Act, handling the veterans' health care. What do you think about
The bigger it gets, the harder it is to really manage. And there's an expression I just heard a couple of weeks ago: if you've seen one VA, you've seen one VA. They're not all the same. And so that makes it even more challenging. We've got to get things in step and make sure that our veterans are taken care of one way or another. There's a lot of possibilities.
As a veteran, not just as a congressman, what do you want to see in Eric Shinseki's replacement, the new Secretary of
I'd like to see someone from outside the VA, because unfortunately people that have been in the VA system their whole life don't know what they don't know. And I'd like to see someone who's come from a private practice, from the private sector, that has to work on efficiencies to be able to be in the black, to keep their doors open. We need that type of model.
Should the whole system be privatized?
Well, I don't know about the whole system, because I think that there's many things that troops endure that are significant and specific to them that maybe need to be treated within the VA, where there's many of them together. But if you have an 85-year-old with cataracts, I don't know that they necessarily need to be at a VA.
I know part of your district includes Southern Ohio. Tell me what, all the way over to Portsmouth, tell me what you think of the new emissions rules that the EPA came out with yesterday.
Well, I think that's going to be very difficult on Ohio. I think it's a loss for a lot of manufacturing opportunities and for jobs. And we're going to come out with a statement this morning about that.
What's your statement going to be?
Well, one of the things that is that I think it's detrimental to our economy, for one, and to our energy production, which to me is divine intervention for America. But also, I think America is very much aware of what we want to do for our environment. We have a problem with the rest of the world adhering to stricter standards. standards, not continuing to make ours stricter to where we go out of business.
I just heard a poll yesterday on one of the newscasts about Americans being overwhelmingly in favor of cleaning up the air. How do you react to that?
Well, you know, as a doctor, as a person who breathes, I like clean air.
Sure.
But I don't know that we know that we are doing so much worse. You know, we all live in the same atmosphere. If we're doing great stuff here, and China, for example, is not, we all ultimately breathe that air. So those are the things that I think we need to focus outside.
And is it about remaining competitive with those other countries industrially as well?
Well, certainly,
From
but
a business standpoint,
you know,
I
right
guess?
now, if you take coal, for example, we send coal out of the country, and it's being processed with much more pollution than we have in the United States.
Right.
So we all want clean air, but I think America is doing its part. We maybe need to focus on some other parts of the world.
All right. Congressman Brad Wenstrup, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
your
much.
insight this morning.